the only isometric exercise you need for every muscle group after 50. Strengthen your entire body from the comfort of your own home. Before we get started, please leave a comment below with your name and the city you are watching from. We would love to know. Exercise number 1, hollow body hold. If there is one exercise capable of teaching your body to protect the spine during any everyday movement, that exercise is the hollow body hold. It was born in Olympic gymnastics, but after the age of 50, it takes on an even more valuable purpose. Regular practitioners notice within just a few weeks a significant improvement in trunk stability during simple tasks like pulling a heavy bag out of the car or picking up a grandchild. The hollow body hold intensely works the entire core, including the rectus abdominis, the transverse abdominis, and the hip flexors, while also requiring muscular recruitment from the shoulder stabilizers to maintain the position. Unlike a traditional crunch, the work here is isometric, meaning the muscle remains under constant tension without changing length, which is excellent for developing deep muscular endurance without overloading the lower back. To perform it correctly, lie on your back on the floor, extend your arms overhead, and straighten your legs completely. Press your lower back firmly into the floor and slightly raise your shoulders and legs, forming a gentle curve with your body, like a banana shape. The key here is not how high you lift, but keeping your lower back pressed into the floor throughout the entire time under tension. An extra tip is to imagine someone is about to place a book on your abdomen, and you need to prevent it from falling by activating your core before lifting your limbs. A common mistake is allowing the lower back to arch and lift away from the floor, which removes tension from the abs and places stress on the spine. If that happens, reduce the range of motion or slightly bend your knees until you gain more control. Start with 2 to 3 sets of 15 to 20 seconds, gradually progressing to 30 to 40 seconds as your core builds endurance. This exercise should be avoided by people with an active lumbar herniated disc, untreated diastasis recti, or acute lower back pain, as the intra-abdominal pressure generated can aggravate these conditions. In those cases, a modified plank with knee support is usually a safer alternative. Exercise number 2, isometric bird dog. The isometric bird dog is, for many physical therapists, the most underrated exercise when it comes to protecting the lower back. And here's an important reminder. Lower back pain frequently results from weakness in this musculature, not from overtraining, as many people believe. Keeping the spinal erector strong and active is what ensures your spine stays stable during simple activities like sweeping the floor or carrying groceries. This exercise works the spinal erectors, the deep core, the gluteus maximus, and the shoulder stabilizers, all working together to maintain the body's balance in an unstable position. It is essentially a proprioception workout disguised as a strength exercise, since your brain must constantly calculate how to distribute your weight to keep you from falling. To perform it, get on all fours with your hands aligned under your shoulders and your knees aligned under your hips. Extend your right arm forward and your left leg back, keeping the spine neutral without allowing your hips to rotate to either side. Hold that position without moving, as if there were a glass of water balanced on your back. The extra tip here is to fix your gaze on a point on the floor, which helps keep your neck aligned with your spine and prevents compensation patterns. A very common mistake is raising the arm or leg too high, which causes the hips to rotate and eliminates all effectiveness from the exercise. Remember that the correct range of motion is the one in which you can keep your hips completely still and level the entire time. Perform 2 to 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds per side, progressing the time under tension as your stability improves. People with recent wrist or shoulder injuries or with uncontrolled vertigo should avoid this exercise or seek a variation supported on the forearms, which reduces pressure on the upper joints. Exercise number 3, isometric push-up hold at the bottom. The isometric push-up hold at the bottom is the version that separates those who truly have body control from those who simply rest between dynamic push-ups. By holding your body just a few inches above the floor, you eliminate all momentum from the movement and force the muscles to work continuously with no moment of relief. It is one of the most honest ways to test your chest and arm strength. This exercise works the chest, the triceps, and the anterior portion of the shoulder, while also strongly recruiting the core to keep the body aligned like a plank. It is worth noting that the upper chest tends to be the hardest area to develop precisely because of its muscular insertion and the working angles involved. So keeping the elbows slightly away from the torso during the exercise helps better recruit this region. To perform it, position yourself as if you were about to do a traditional push-up. Lower your body until you are just a few inches from the floor and stop right there. Keep your elbows at an angle of roughly 45 degrees relative to your torso, your abs braced, and your neck in a neutral position, looking at the floor just ahead of your hands. The extra tip is to perform a slight scapular retraction before lowering, drawing the shoulder blades together, which protects the shoulders and improves muscular recruitment of the chest. A common mistake is letting the hips sag or rise too high, breaking alignment and shifting the tension away from the chest and into the back. If you feel your shoulders shaking, that is a sign you are working exactly where you should be. Start by holding for 10 to 15 seconds, progressing to 20 to 30 seconds as your strength increases, always using your knees on the floor if needed. People with rotator cuff injuries, shoulder bursitis, or carpal tunnel syndrome should avoid this exercise, opting for a wall-supported variation that drastically reduces the load on the joints. Exercise number 4, dead hang. The dead hang may be the simplest exercise on this list, but do not let the simplicity fool you. Hanging your own body weight from a bar is one of the most efficient ways to assess and develop shoulder health and grip strength, something that naturally tends to decline with age and is directly related to functional independence after the age of 50. A study published in the Journal of Hand Therapy observed that grip strength is associated with a lower risk of falls and better overall functionality in older adults, which makes this exercise far more relevant than it appears at first glance. The dead hang intensely works the forearms, the muscles of the hands, the latissimus dorsi, and the shoulder stabilizers, while also promoting a gentle decompression of the spine, relieving pressure between the vertebrae that accumulates throughout the day. To perform it, grip a fixed bar with your hands slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Let your body hang completely relaxed with your shoulders away from your ears and maintain controlled breathing. No movement is required, simply sustain your body weight for the set duration. An extra tip is to gently engage your shoulder blades downward before relaxing the rest of your body, which protects the shoulder joint during the time under tension. A common mistake is holding your breath or letting your body swing uncontrollably, which increases the risk of injury without providing any additional benefit. Start with 10 to 15 seconds per set for 2 to 3 sets, gradually progressing to 30 to 45 seconds. If you cannot sustain your full body weight, lightly rest your feet on the floor to reduce the load. People with recent shoulder injuries, tennis elbow, or advanced osteoporosis should avoid this exercise without prior professional guidance. Exercise number 5, wall sit. The wall sit is the kind of exercise that seems harmless until you hit the 20-second mark. Many people did this in school without realizing they were training exactly the muscles that support the ability to rise from a chair on their own at 80 years old. And let us be honest, few things sound as simple and yet prove as challenging as standing still pressed against a wall. This exercise intensely works the quadriceps, recruits the gluteus maximus, and requires constant core activation to keep the torso upright against the wall. It is an excellent indicator of muscular endurance in the anterior chain of the leg, since, unlike a traditional squat, there is no concentric phase of relief here, only continuous sustained tension. To perform it correctly, press your back against the wall, step your feet forward, and lower yourself until your knees form an angle of roughly 90 degrees, as if you were sitting in an invisible chair. Keep your knees aligned with your ankles without letting them extend past your toes, and distribute your weight evenly between both sides of your body. A valuable extra tip is to press your back firmly into the wall throughout the entire exercise, which increases core muscular recruitment and helps maintain correct posture for longer. A very common mistake is letting the knees drift too far forward over the feet, which shifts the tension onto the joints instead of keeping it in the muscles, increasing discomfort without generating any additional benefit. Another frequent misconception is choosing a knee angle that is too shallow right from the start, thinking it makes the exercise easier. In practice, an angle close to 90 degrees recruits the musculature in a far more balanced and sustainable way over time. Start with 2 to 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds, gradually progressing to 45 to 60 seconds as muscular endurance increases. People with serious knee conditions, such as advanced osteoarthritis, or with uncontrolled high blood pressure, should exercise extra caution, since isometric exercises can temporarily elevate blood pressure during execution. Exercise number 6, isometric glute bridge. Here is a fact that 99% of people do not know. The gluteus maximus is the largest muscle in the human body, and yet it is one of the most neglected in training, especially among men, which compromises not only aesthetics but also strength and performance in everyday movements like climbing stairs or lifting something off the floor. The isometric glute bridge directly works the gluteus maximus, recruits the hamstrings as a stabilizer, and activates the spinal erectors in the lower back. The glutes play a fundamental role in stabilizing the pelvis and preventing lower back pain, since they help distribute the forces that travel through the spine during virtually any standing movement. It is also worth mentioning the epoch effect, which is the elevated oxygen consumption after exercise. Since the gluteus maximus is a large muscle, keeping it well developed can slightly raise the body's caloric expenditure even at rest, which is an interesting extra benefit for those looking to maintain body composition over the years. To perform it, lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, close to your glutes. Lift your hips until they form a straight line between your shoulders, hips, and knees, squeezing your glutes forcefully at the top of the movement. Hold that position without letting your hips drop. The extra tip is to imagine you are holding a coin between your glutes throughout the entire contraction, which intensifies muscular recruitment in that region. A common mistake is relying too much on the lower back to push the hips upward instead of letting the glutes do the primary work, which can cause discomfort in the back region by the end of the set. As an alternative and a progression, resting only one foot on the floor while keeping the other leg extended in the air considerably increases the demand for stability and muscular activation. Perform 2 to 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds, progressing to 45 seconds. This exercise should be avoided by pregnant women in their 3rd trimester without medical guidance, and by people with a lumbar herniated disc in an acute phase. Exercise number 7, isometric farmer's carry hold. The traditional farmer's carry is already well known for building full-body functional strength, but the isometric version takes the challenge to another level. Instead of walking while carrying the load, you remain completely still, holding the weight with perfect posture, which eliminates any momentum from the movement and places the entire demand on the stabilizing musculature. This exercise strongly works the forearms and grip strength, recruits the trapezius and deltoids, and requires constant activation of the core and spinal erectors to keep the torso upright under load. It is essentially a standing plank, but with additional weight in your hands, which increases the demand on virtually every stabilizer in the body at the same time. To perform it, hold a weight on each side of your body, such as dumbbells, water jugs, or any object of equivalent weight available at home. Keep your shoulders back and down, your chest open, your abs braced, and your gaze forward, as if you were balancing an invisible tray on top of your head. The extra tip here is to grip the weight as tightly as possible throughout the entire execution, which increases forearm muscular recruitment and considerably improves grip strength over time. A common mistake is letting the shoulders rise toward the ears, which overloads the neck and removes tension from the region that should actually be doing the work. A fairly common misconception is thinking that because there is no movement, the exercise loses effectiveness compared to the traditional walking version. In practice, the demand of isometric stability under load is precisely what strengthens the foundational support needed to walk safely and with balance in daily life. Perform 2 to 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds with a moderate load, gradually increasing the weight as grip strength improves, always prioritizing correct posture before any progression. People with uncontrolled high blood pressure or serious circulation problems in the hands should reduce the load and consult a professional before practicing this exercise. Exercise number 8, isometric calf raise hold. The calf is often called the second heart of the body, and that is no exaggeration. It literally helps pump blood back up to the heart against the force of gravity, functioning as an auxiliary pump during walking and other standing activities. After the age of 50, keeping this musculature strong is also directly linked to balance and fall prevention, since the calf is responsible for a large portion of the fine adjustments the body makes to avoid losing stability. This exercise works the entire calf, including the gastrocnemius and the soleus, with the latter being composed primarily of slow-twitch fibers, which is why it responds better to longer sets than to short, explosive ones. To perform it, stand upright, lightly rest your hand on a wall or chair for balance, and raise your heels as high as possible, coming onto the balls of your feet. Hold that position at the top of the movement, feeling the intense contraction in the calf, without letting your heels touch the floor again until the set is complete. An extra tip is to perform this raise on a step, allowing your heels to drop below the level of your toes before rising, which increases the range of motion and muscular activation. It is also worth alternating between feet parallel, turned out, and turned in throughout the week, since each position emphasizes a different portion of the calf. A common mistake is performing the movement too quickly, losing precisely the isometric benefit that comes from holding the position at the top. Another misconception is neglecting this exercise by thinking of the calf as a purely aesthetic muscle, when in reality it plays an enormous functional role in locomotion and balance. Perform 3 to 4 sets of 15 to 20 seconds at the top of the movement, since slow twitch fibers respond better to this higher volume. People with an active Achilles tendonitis flare-up or recent ankle injuries should avoid this exercise until cleared by a medical professional, opting for gentle ankle mobility work while recovering. Now, an extra bonus to also strengthen your arms. Bonus exercise, Isometric bicep curl hold. To finish on a high note, a bonus for those who also want to give some attention to the arms. The isometric bicep curl hold is a simple way to keep the biceps brachii active without needing much space or sophisticated equipment, making it perfect for those training at home with whatever they have available. This exercise works the biceps brachii and the brachialis, the muscles responsible for elbow flexion, while also requiring forearm muscular recruitment to hold the weight firmly throughout the entire execution. To perform it, hold a comfortable weight in each hand, or just one, and bend your elbow to an angle of roughly 90 degrees. Keep your elbow pressed against the side of your body without letting it drift away from your torso, and hold that position without moving for the set duration. The extra tip here is to consciously squeeze the bicep with force throughout the entire time under tension, as if you were trying to compress the muscle, which significantly increases muscular recruitment even without movement. A common mistake is letting the elbow shift forward or backward, which removes the tension from the bicep and transfers the work to the shoulder. As an alternative, you can vary the elbow angle between sets, also testing positions near 60 degrees and near 120 degrees, since each angle emphasizes different points along the range of motion. Perform 2 to 3 sets of 20 to 30 seconds per chosen angle. People with tennis elbow, elbow tendonitis, or recent wrist injuries should significantly reduce the load or avoid this exercise altogether, opting to keep the elbow at a more open angle, which reduces the demand on the joint. If you enjoyed this and want to see the 4 most popular exercises you should never do after 60, we have a video appearing on the screen right now showing each one of them. They put your body at a risk that can even affect your independence, so make sure you check it out. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and may God bless you, my friend.